Welcome back, everybody, to the afternoon. We're going to kick things off this afternoon here at the Launchpad stage with a deep dive into what's happening in Palm Beach and the technology community there. I'm going to invite our panelists up to join us and our moderator. It's going to be awesome. Let's put our hands together, please, for Scott Adams, the co-founder and chief executive officer of Eagle Eye Intelligence, Cam Collins, the president of Dockmaster Software, and Shana Ostrovitz, the co-founder of Rooster Local, with our moderator, Joe Russo, the executive director of the Palm Beach Tech Association. Take it away, guys.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing? Oh, let's give that another shot. How's everyone doing out there? All right. I hear there's coffee somewhere around here. I'd encourage you guys to get revved up. My name is Joe Russo. I'm the executive director of a group called the Palm Beach Tech Association. One of the things you're seeing behind you here is a video that we're actually showing for the first time, even though we don't have audio here, that capitalizes on what we call Made in PBC. Made in Palm Beach County, as we envision it, is a moment of pride, is a brand of pride for the people who are building their technology companies in Palm Beach County. For those of you that are listening that don't know where Palm Beach County is, maybe you're just here from Miami. It's about an hour north of here. Myself, I am a Palm Beach County native. I've been born and bred in our great area, and we currently operate out of a facility in downtown West Palm Beach, but we have members from Jupiter to Boca Raton. And what a lot of people don't know is South Florida as a whole is the #1 region in the United States for startup activity. It's something that can't be done by Miami alone. It can't be done by Fort Lauderdale alone. It's part of Palm Beach County as well, and we take a lot of pride in what we do day to day in Palm Beach County. One of the things we're trying to do through Made in PBC is help support local startups, hire local talent, and hire local companies more in the Palm Beaches than we ever had before. So we can keep innovating locally more than we have ever had. So with me, I have a tremendous group of people who have been working in the tech and innovation industry in Palm Beach County over their lifetimes in the area. I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves, starting with Scott. But this is a diverse group. This is a diverse region. Keep in mind what you hear from them is just a sample of the great things that are happening in Palm Beach County. So we'll start off with Scott. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all for being Made in PBC.
Hi, Joe. Thank you very much for the intro. My name is Scott Adams. I'm CEO of Eagle Eye Intelligence, and we're located in Boca Raton. I'm a Floridian native from North Florida, moved down to South Florida to go to FAU, and I graduated a long time ago and decided to stay in South Florida, and I've been a serial entrepreneur for 25 years. And my current venture I'm involved in now, it deals with security for public safety, government, and commercial security, providing real-time tactical intelligence.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cam Collins, and you guys know the joke when you're around a bunch of people and you're in Florida and you say, well, how many people are actually born in Florida or raised in Florida? And maybe 1 or 2 people raise their hand. Well, I've got a different kind of question. How many people are 7th generations Floridians? There you go. So I'm actually a 7th generation Floridian. My 3rd great grandfather, 4th great grandfather was the first elected governor of Florida, which is kind of crazy, right? So having said that, why am I standing up here or sitting down up here talking about Palm Beach Tech and about having a technology company in the state of Florida? It's because when I graduated, Scott and I graduated the same year, there were lots of opportunities for me to actually go somewhere else and do something else in technology, especially 15 years ago. So I did have a stint in the Boston area. I did have a stint in the Silicon Valley area. But I came back home because I wanted to actually raise a family here in South Florida, and most specifically Palm Beach County, where I actually grew up. So I actually I owned a company called Dockmaster Software for 10 years. I sold that company about 3 years ago, and I'm actually still actively running that company, and we're based in downtown West Palm Beach.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shana Ostrovitz. I'm one of the co-founders of Rooster. We are based out of Delray Beach, Florida, so about an hour north of here. And I have actually only been in Florida for about 5 years, so I'm one of the newbies that is not from here. But I did have a choice where to start my company. And when my business partners and I were thinking about this company and where we wanted to be, we wanted to stay here in Florida to build our company and to leverage the community that had been created here to create Russo, which is all about helping other entrepreneurs. We actually work in the service industry. We're very similar to Etsy in the fact that we inspire professionals that work for themselves, providing services to get connected to the clients that are looking for their services.
And if you haven't noticed, these three folks are all smarter than myself, which is why they're the ones speaking and I'm only moderating. But thank you again for all being here. So we'll start off with the first and the most obvious question for everybody here is why Palm Beach County? Of all the places in the world that you can start a company, why have you chosen Palm Beach County, and in some cases repeatedly so, to build your company? And Shana, I guess we can start with you and go back down the aisle.
Well, as I mentioned, as we started Russo, we did actually think about other places. People tell you, oh, go to Boston, go to California. There's, all these startup communities happening. But what we really saw was that there is a community here and that there was support here and we had a network here to build from. And when you're building a company, that's really important. It's really important about the people you know and that people believe in you and that they understand what you're trying to bring to life so that they can support you. And, we saw what Joe was doing and several other people in our community and just knew that this was the place to build the foundation for what we wanted to do.
So I used to only have two answers to that question. And those two answers used to be cost of living and quality of life. And up until like the last 5 years, those were the only two answers that I had for Joe's question. But of late, there's now really, really good technology talent here in South Florida. I'm absolutely amazed by it because I've seen it actually change over the years. So we used to have to throw a net pretty wide to find good software developers, marketing people, and what have you for our company. But now we're finding people right here in good old South Florida.
Actually, my story when I started my first startup company in Boca was because it was by accident, because that's where I was. And I had no choice because I didn't know what was going to happen. And we were just happened to ride a wave of the internet. My company was Highway Technologies, and we grew it in 3 years to be the largest web hosting company in the world before GoDaddy and before Amazon and all that stuff. But we also found the empty spot that IBM left. They had 1 million square feet, so we just grabbed a little 70,000 square foot office over there and grew our company there and sold it in 4 years. But so it just, I didn't even know that I couldn't do it anywhere else. I just did it, and we were able to recruit the people we needed. The quality of life was there, everything, and it can be done, anywhere you put your mind to it.
And that kind of pivots to our actual next question, which is about the resources. So, back in the day, Highway Technologies, that you guys had a brand out there. Now we know the work you've done in plenty of other brands that have come after it. But the resources over the past, let's say, just decade, if not more, how have you seen the amount of resources grow in Palm Beach County and South Florida to be able to build and fulfill the vision of your companies? And Scott, we'll again start with you and go back down.
It also comes back to having the core team in the beginning. It's about your initial team's the most important, because now today with all the technology and the internet too, we're able to manage leveraging people from the world to do stuff for us. But we build the core team and the culture, that's probably just the most important thing from my perspective in getting that the culture together very early and building from there.
I agree with Scott that virtual teams can really help quite a bit when you need to sort of fill gaps in your organization or have needs be fulfilled. But for us, actually, we felt like that let's call it the top, the 15 core people within the company. We really felt like they actually needed to be local people working in our office, so we could actually build a culture around this team and actually, be strong kind of together, if you will. So one of the things that we did is we actually partnered with Palm Beach Technology Association, the organization that Joe is the executive director of, and I happen to be a co-chair of. But prior to that, through Joe's affiliation or Palm Beach Technologies affiliation with the Palm Beach Code School and now with WinCode, we actually found this group of interns, people who had just graduated from Code School or some other technology-driven curriculum who were really, really capable. And we brought them in and we tried them out, and we actually developed an entire apprenticeship program and brought these interns in to actually work with us. And we brought in 3 people total between ourselves and one other partner company. We hired all 3 people. So I encourage anybody out there, if you've got an organization who actually is tied to a group like Palm Beach Technology, regardless of where you happen to live, really try to vet these people and have them come in and be a part of your space and be a part of your organization, because you can find really, really good talent that way.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, we're so new, and it's interesting as you guys have built companies and probably seen the resources and industry really change. I've even seen that just in the past couple years. So when we first started Russo, we started talking, with Joe, and he was kind of starting out this organization and starting to build it. And there's so many resources in different places. And what I've started to see in the past year is all of these different groups collaborating, right, from Miami all the way to Palm Beach. And that's what's really exciting for me, is I get to see, an event like this where everybody's really coming together to work together and see how they can support businesses like ours, across South Florida, which is really exciting.
And, on that note, there are some great organizations in Miami that do affiliation-wise what we do in Palm Beach County. Refresh Miami, Venture Hive, and myself, I stay in contact with those folks, and we share best practices and learn how to do better things together. And, all that goes back into community and about collaboration. How can we learn from each other, and how can we build with each other? And that's actually my next question, is how have you guys found the community side, the collaborative side of what you do, either through your job or through, kind of a more of a philanthropy type aspect, to build back into your company, build back into your culture. So when we're thinking about Palm Beach County, we're thinking about Palm Beach Tech, we're thinking about FAU Tech Runway, we're thinking about the coding schools. How do you find those priorities of community and collaboration is part of the overall fabric of what you do?
I would say for us at Rooster, it's integral to what we do. I think our whole business model is really based on community and working together and collaborating, and we see that as part of our everyday way of being and interacting. And how do we partner with different organizations? How do we get plugged into Palm Beach Tech and FAU Tech Runway and everything that's going on, here in Miami, to really help ourselves grow as well as help other people? Because as more companies are doing well in this area, and as more people are getting jobs, and as more money and funding is coming in here, then we all do better. And I think that's what's really exciting. So as we can collaborate and help lift each other up, then all of us are going to do better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Since I've been involved with Palm Beach Tech, my ability to sort of meet other entrepreneurs and collaborate with other entrepreneurs has opened up a lot of doors for my company. And I'm also working to help other organizations who are maybe more of a startup organization, who are coming to me and saying, "Hey, Cam, how do you?" And I'll do my best to try to give them a hand where I can. So that's kind of one kind of area of it. The other thing that I find interesting as far as the collaboration of things is that I happen to be, our software company actually provides solutions to the recreational marine industry. So being in the maritime business in South Florida also has its benefits. I noticed the guys from Boat Tracks are here, and there happens to be kind of a lot of marine-related startups in Florida. So that's also been a real positive thing for our business as a whole.
And I remember when I first started, there was no resources available. It was just, there was nothing at colleges for entrepreneurs or anything. So that's why I said, as soon as I had the opportunity and something where I could make a donation, the first check I wrote out was to FAU. And I said, let's please do something on the entrepreneurial side to help other students who may have either a mutant gene or a gleam in their eye, one or the other. And then the other thing, too, that I also try to give back on, if an entrepreneur is going to approach me and find me and ask me a question, I always take the call, answer the email, and respond, because I know what it's like. And sometimes a little bit of information can go a long way, or inspiration to them. And then the last thing is that in the company, the companies that I help grow and build, I always want to have a culture where our employees can can feel they can grow. And even if they want to be an entrepreneur one day and be their own boss, I will always help them, support them, because we just might be a starting place for them, and that's also important.
And if you do go to FAU, the Adams Center for Entrepreneurship is, of course, named for Scott. And he's also one of the first companies to go through the FAU Tech Runway Accelerator that was started just a couple of years ago. But your point on resources, that's part of the reason that I got into doing what I'm doing now, which is helping in any possible way companies and startups, because a few years ago, there weren't the resources that there were, not just in Palm Beach County, but in South Florida as a whole. And it's night and day now, as opposed to just a few years ago. And through our work in Palm Beach County and the work across South Florida and beyond into some other communities in Florida, we're seeing a lot more fabric of resources come up. So even if it's not in Palm Beach County, even if it's not in Miami, there are a lot of resources across this state. But a lot of people move to Florida for things other than technology, we find. People move down here for the family, for lifestyle, for things that are a little bit more intangible than I'm coming here for a job. And we're seeing that more and more, where people say, I want to live in Florida. It doesn't matter if it's Miami, which has got more of a high-speed, more urban environment, or West Palm or Boca Raton that's a little bit more at ease with the regular day-to-day. But how have you seen the lifestyle, that quality of life, impact not only the companies that are choosing to be here, but the people that are moving here to work at them?
When we're interviewing people, one of the very first things they say is that, hey, I want to stay here in Florida, and if I have to go find a job elsewhere, I will, but I really want to be here. So, for instance, we were bringing on a inside salesperson recently, and 5 of the candidates that we hired, they came to Florida because they were there to see a family member, like an in-law or a grandparent or something, and they came down to visit this individual, and they said, wow, this is really, really great down here. I'm not going back to Chicago. I'm not going back to Michigan. And so they sort of said, let's kind of see what's available in the work environment. And I was amazed by the resumes we were getting from people who were very, very qualified, who had sold software before, but they actually wanted to be in South Florida. They targeted South Florida as the place they wanted to be. I don't know if you guys have experienced something similar or not.
And generally for entrepreneurs, all they need is hope and opportunity. But the other thing they need is funding. So South Florida does have a large supply of successful retirees that move down here that do not want to just sit at home or play golf all day. So that's an untapped resource that continually can be a leverage to help get some angel funding. Yeah, so I'll pass it over.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say again is my company is at such a early stage and we're so small, so we're not regularly hiring people. But what can I can say from my perspective as a younger generation is that people are looking more and more for work-life balance and for a place where they can have an amazing career and love their lives and do what they like to do. And I think that's what's really exceptional about Florida and what we're doing here in South Florida is that you can have both. And that, again, that's what people are driving to be in. You don't have to be in a Chicago or New York and be, cold all the time and working, 100 hours a day. You want that balance. And I see a trend towards that more and more.
And on that point, too, I've noted your advisors, the people who have invested their time and money in your company, are also some of those people who have come down and chosen, I want to be in Florida, and then they find somebody like you to say, oh, I want to spend some time with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We have such incredible mentors and advisors and people who have come from companies either that have been started here or they had companies somewhere else and they've moved down here and they still want to be involved and they want to help other entrepreneurs that are growing their business. And it's really amazing for us to be able to, leverage that and leverage their expertise and their knowledge and their resources and their connections to be able to start our business.
Yeah, and just to note, I don't mean to offend anybody who's a Florida State Seminole fan, but CAM is a product of the University of Florida, which is here. And Scott of Florida Atlantic University, which I see there's some people out in the crowd from. And Shana, you went to Northeastern, am I right? So, we kind of have a diversity of the people who are here. And I went to Florida Gulf Coast University, just to throw that in. So, there's enough people in Florida that are really choosing to build here. But we're also still attracting a lot of people to South Florida as well. And this intermixing of the talent that's here and the talent that's developing, I mean, I'm a native Floridian, so there's probably, only a few people outside my generation that are, that I went to school with that are natives. But we're seeing that a lot more now. And all the people that are moving and convalescing to South Florida are becoming more and more of this fabric that makes us such a great place for innovation. One additional point I wanted to make sure we hit on was the venture capital side of it all, because we haven't quite hit on that conversation yet. And venture capital is always the biggest conversation point when we think about scaling. Right, so I did mention at the start of the conversation here that Florida is ranked #1 for startup activity as a region, or South Florida is as a region. But to scale the company in the venture capital, obviously most of the venture capital in the United States happens in places like Silicon Valley, Boston, in the major cities. But we're seeing more and more of it come to Florida. And it's not just the magic leaps that are getting hundreds of millions of dollars. It's companies that are getting a few $100,000 or a few million. And Shana and Scott, I know you both have gone through different rounds of funding in the past year or so. If you want to dive into saying how is that venture capital makeup differed in the past, and where do you see it now?
Well, for us, it's been really interesting as we're starting to see, we really have a lot of people in the angel space. So I would say, not the institutional investors, but people that are looking for startups like ours to invest in and to invest in their community and to start, putting their funds where they live and really helping bring startups to life. And it's continuing to grow. I think there's still a lot of opportunity for, companies at our stage, like the really, really early stages, to get the supportive funding that they need so that they can then get up to, the institutional funding rounds. But I'm starting to see that more and more people getting excited about what's going on, and more accelerator programs, coming to support companies like mine to really get a little bit of support to get off the ground.
Yeah, and obviously the hardest part of doing a startup is the first few rounds. When you're still trying to prove the business model. It's at the highest risk level you could be. And then I having done a lot of fundraising, and I think it gets easier as you prove the business model. You get customers, you get sales. And the fact that some of the other successful companies in South Florida are attracting VCs visiting South Florida to the Tri-County area is a good thing, because while they're here, they're looking for other deals. So that's just part of the ecosystem that is a healthy mix for all the companies as they grow from, crawl, walk, run.
There is one level, though, before, if you will, the VC route, and I think Shana had just mentioned this, but two of the past companies that I've done actually was in partnership with actually an angel investor. And it wasn't just someone who came in and just put up the money and walked away. They were individual investors who were actually very involved in the business by design. So it was a business partner, but they were putting up the majority of the capital, and we had agreed right up front that I was going to run the operation, invest some of my own capital as well, and the angel investor was going to invest a larger amount and not be quite as involved in the day-to-day. That actually worked very, very well for me, and then both these individuals that I worked with in the past were both from Palm Beach County, and both were effectively retiring or semi-retiring in the area. So I think it was already mentioned here earlier about just the amount of folks that actually are coming to South Florida to either semi-retire or fully retire, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, I still have the startup bug, I still have the investment bug, I want to get involved and do something, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity down here.
Yeah. And to be clear, if you are interested in talking to Shana about venture capital, they are looking for funding. They have a booth right over here. Again, her company's name is Rooster Local. To call out a couple other folks that are here, Gaming Frog, which is located just over there. They are a company out of the FAU Tech Runway Accelerator in Boca Raton. And any tech startup that has to do with video games, I'm all about. So make sure you go check out these companies and the others that are here. Really quick, and I'm going to let everyone kind of make some final remarks, but I do have to recognize there are staff from Palm Beach Tech. Corey and Danielle are in the audience, so I'm waving to you guys and calling you out. We also have Megan from FAU Tech Runway here. And I noticed Amy here from Tellables. She actually has an Amazon Alexa startup called Tellables. You can look it up and download it. But she's a retired NASA engineer who came to Florida and now is starting her own company. And it's always really cool to see somebody that's coming to Florida and's got the bug and really wants to make it happen. So again, we only have a few more minutes, but if there are any closing thoughts that you all would like to share on why Made in PBC, why Palm Beach County, and what you guys see for the future of our area.
Well, I guess what I would do for anybody who's kind of thinking about, hey, I need to find someone to do X or Y or Z or whatever it might be, is I really encourage people to sort of look local and reach local, so to speak, because there's a lot of really, really good talent here. And if at all possible, if you get two candidates that are sort of balanced out equally on both sides of it, whether it's a vendor, contractor, or a potential employee, to help sort of grow the local ecosystem, I'd encourage you to, if you will, Made in PBC is the way to go.
Just a few things, thoughts that come to mind is that we didn't mention before is that South Florida is a very diverse culture, and that's our strength. If you want to do business in South America or Latin America, this is a great place to be. It's just like the hub. And you need to find some people who speak Spanish. No problem. We can hire lots of people if we need to speak Spanish in our company, which we do. And then one other thing, I rewind back 10, 15 years ago, back when the Napa of the Americas was first started here. I was behind the group that really lobbied to put it in Miami, because having that fiber coming in from under the ocean was a good thing. It could have been in Boca, it could have been in Fort Lauderdale, but Miami made more sense because that's where the most. So we all got behind it and got the help, the support, and I even invested in it too. I wish I would have kept it all the way through. It would have made a lot more money, but it's great to see that success here in town and see this event and what it is today.
Yeah, I think I just kind of want to say, as I mentioned earlier, is that I think as we all continue to do better, then we all rise together. And I think there's so many different people out here from different companies. Maybe you're an investor, maybe you're part of a program that supports entrepreneurs. And I think the more that we collaborate and the more that I've seen all these organizations work together to support the startup community, the better it's going to be. Because really we're not competing. South Florida is one community, and I think we can all work together to really create that and drive the momentum here and continue to grow what's been happening so far.
Yeah, and now with, of course, Brightline, the new passenger rail service, we can go from downtown West Palm to downtown Miami in under an hour. We can be more collaborative and work closer together than ever before in South Florida. So if you're in Miami or you're anywhere else, do check us out, palmbeachtech.org. If you're interested in the Made in PBC effort, it's palmbeachtech.org/Made in PBC. Tech Runway is in Boca Raton. You can Google FAU Tech Runway so I don't get the URL wrong. But there's a lot of amazing things that are going on. If you're interested in our events, we have a Palm Beach Tech meetup once a month. You can find on our website. We have little happy hour type events called Talking Tech that you guys can hop into in Boca Raton, West Palm Beach, and Palm Beach Gardens. And there's a really great resource email that we send out once a week on Monday, and by we, I mean Danielle, who's sitting over there, who sends that out. But we'd really love to get you guys as part of the conversation. If you're in Miami and want to learn more about what's going on in Palm Beach County, please do check that out. If you're outside the area and you are just interested, check it out. And if you want to talk to us more about opportunities in the area, come see us after. There's a lot going on in the Palm Beaches. We're at a different speed than Miami. We have a lot of innovation, but I'll leave you with this thought. Boca Raton is the birthplace of the IBM personal computer, right? That's a lot of history for Palm Beach County. On top of that, Palm Beach Gardens, where I'm from, they built some of the components for the Saturn V rocket. that took astronauts to the moon, and one of the fastest airplane engines ever designed on the SR-71 Blackbird. And just 2 weeks ago, I went through that facility, and they're building the new helicopters for the United States military, the King Stallion helicopters. So there's so much history, there's so much innovation going on just beyond this conversation here that you do have to be a part of it. You do have to dig down below the surface to really see all the amazing, cool things that are going on. And there is so much that we are passionate about, and so much that we're very much happy that we were able to share with you all here today. Again, thank you so much to Emerge Americas for having us. We're at palmbeachtech.org, and thank you all for being panelists and sharing this story with me.